uppercut, uppercut, sonic boom! Well, hello there, humans of his earthlings, whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and if you're lucky enough indeed to be doing it too. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Bushkin. Today's video is all about the Vector. The Vector is a 9mm world drop weapon. In other words, it doesn't come in a crate. It's not a weapon that's only on certain maps and everything. It's a very universal weapon that is loved and feared by many for good reason. Although the MP5K is the Vector on Vikendi, so maybe it is a little bit special. The Vector does things in a slightly different way to some of the other SMGs. The Vector is a high rate of fire SMG. SMGs tend to fall into two categories. You've got the high rate of fire and the high alpha damage SMGs. Your high alpha damage SMGs like your UMP and your Tommy gun, and to a certain extent your Bison, they're 38.8 all the way up to 43 for the Tommy gun as a base damage number into a chest shot. The Vector is 32.9, so it's towards the lower end. It's not as low as, say, an Uzi or even a P90, but it's low. It makes up for that, obviously, with a tremendous rate of fire. In terms of rounds per minute, you're looking at a whopping 1,154 rounds per minute. The only SMG with a higher rate of fire is the Uzi at 1,304. And that is obviously a whole different kettle of fish. And it performs. This is me road testing the Vector in Asia squads. This is like Ace, Master, whatever it is. It's solo squads at that level. And the Vector you're going to see in this little clip where I get pushed and I run around. There's a lot of gunfighting. It really does perform very, very well. Because like a lot of SMGs, what it has going for it is incredibly effective hip fire. You'll note that I'm running it with a laser sight. I often run my SMGs with laser sights because I very much believe in accentuating what's good about a gun. And what's good about an SMG generally is its ability to be exceptionally quick peek friendly. So you can duck out, hip fire and spray and pull back in without having to ADS. And the Vector is very much in that role as a gun. And it's vastly underrated. It can be a pain in the ass in a lot of ways. 9mm is difficult to find at times on Erangel because not a lot of people are running 9mm guns. So you might get towards the end of a circle, end of a game with something like the Vector, and you'll see, because it's super quick firing, you're throwing out a lot of 9mm. Even on a quick peak like that, you're throwing 20 rounds. And that's tough. When you've got 33 in the clip and you clear the clip so quickly, it can be very, very difficult. And you've got to be right on the hammer. You can see this is a very nice little position where they're expecting me to be up the top on the roof. So I'm thinking I'm going to get oh no, but there's a third party. Of course there's a third party. There's always a third party. What the Vector doesn't have going for it is bullet speed. Its bullet speed is very, very poor. And that's an SMG-wide trend. It's one of the reasons why Vectors are such bad long-range spray weapons. I mean, you can spray anything when you're spraying at people who are coming towards you. Anyone that's coming towards you is a very easy spray target. When targets are being elusive and evasive and moving left to right on your screen, you need high bullet speed to hit those. And that's where you get your ADS weapons like your M416, your SCAR-L, your AUG, your QBZ-95, even your LMGs like your MG3 and your DP28. They're great for that because you got that high bullet speed. There we go. We're trying to bait him out by getting in the car, but he wasn't going to be baited. So your bullet speed on the Vector is 384. Now that does sound bad because it is bad, but it's actually the highest bullet speed of any of the SMGs. The UMP is 365 meters per second. The Tommy gun's 357 meters per second. But all your 9mm, your Vector, your Bison, your MP5K, they all run at 384. Obviously, the Uzi and the P90 are a little bit different. But those, oh God, this guy won't stop third party. Love it. Why wouldn't you run the Vector? I can't think of a good reason. Do you like having fun? Because it's a fun gun. Do you like winning CQC fights without having to ADS? Because that seems very much to be the meta right now. It's something it does very well. And do you like just the movement, the mobility the Vector gives you? A lot of people don't know that SMGs give you a movement don't give you a movement penalty, rather. Oh, God, sweat harder. Don't give you a movement penalty. So you run an SMG, you don't get the movement penalty you get when you run with an AR. And if you run with a DMR, it's worse again. And with a sniper rifle, it's worse again. So when you're running a Vector, you're running, for all intents and purposes, as fast as you can run. It does also open up some interesting synergies like that. You can run a Vector and a Bison if you can find enough 9mm, and then you don't have to run multiple ammo types. One of the things that running an SMG has over a 5.56 AR, for instance, is that you can run a lot of ammo. You can carry a lot more ammo than you can with a 7.62 AR or a 5.56 AR. Those rounds take up more backpack space. I was like, why is that guy in there? And then I did the cardinal sin. You'll see ADSing at this range of the Vector is pointless. You don't need to do it. And it slows your movement down and it makes you an easier target. And you actually miss more shots ADSing in close range with the Vector than you do at longer ranges. The recoil on the Vector is non-existent. It's not non-existent, but it's not a problem. It's negligible, and especially at the ranges that we're talking about. I mean, you can see there. That's all of 100 meters, and it just doesn't do anything. It doesn't go anywhere. If a target is look, your recoil, not a problem. Don't worry about your recoil. Your recoil's going to be fine. It's all about getting to grips and getting up close and personal with people. You can whack a 4X on it, and you can use it as a long range buffoon of a gun, and the recoil will be okay. I run it with a laser sight, but if I was going to run it as a secondary, and you can run it as a secondary just for the memes, it has lovely synergy with the full 6X spray M416. But if you want to run it with anything, I'd probably run it with a vertical foregrip or a maybe even, I'd say vertical being the best for it. The reason being, you can't run it with an angle, for instance, but the reason being that a vertical will give you just no rise on your recoil. And for longer range sprays, that just makes it easier. Your horizontal recoil is so minimal with the Vector that it's never going to be really much of an issue for you. I will go out on the limb and say that if you run Vector, you're going to have a good time. I have been running all these random loadouts, and again, the only thing I struggle with the Vector is finding nines. If you want to know just how bad that can be, as we go for the super elite switch and then thirst in the buggy, you can see me, I'm in the middle of a field here and I'm stopping, I'm desperately searching for nines. And one of the reasons why I originally started running Vector VSS or Vector Bison or, double Vector, and I started running Vector with an M24 or anything, is because if you're in solo squad gunfights, you go through a lot of ammo using a Vector, okay? And sometimes in those kind of engagements, you don't have time to loot boxes, so you've got to be able to pack like 500 rounds of nines, 450 rounds of nines into gunfights that will just go for a long time. Look how quickly we churn ammo. I mean, we had 500 rounds a second ago. Look how quickly we go through ammunition. And if you run it, I know it's going to sound silly, but if you run it with a, oh dear, he ran out of ammo, thank God. If you run it with a sniper rifle, it's going to sound so crazy. He was on single shot, thank God. Like, if he hadn't been on single shot with that Mark 14, I would have been in a world of trouble. If you run it with a sniper rifle, it gives you more space in your bag to carry meds, 9mm, more 9mm. It's just a cracker. It's just an absolute cracker of a gun. And look at gunfights like this where people don't stop rolling in. It can be very difficult when you're running Vector. I personally think this is one of the most underrated weapons in PUBG Mobile. It's not the kind of weapon that gets a lot of play. You don't see many people running the Vector. Mostly it's UMP, and the UMP is its own special event. Like, don't get me wrong, the UMP is its own thing, and it's lovely. But Vector's a hell of a thing. It's got attack stock. It's very steady. It's got multiple It's got multiple attachment combinations. You can run it with a suppressor and it becomes a very, very difficult to deal with long-range sniper. It's just a great, great gun. It doesn't win everything. It's me beating a Vector, beating a Bison with a Vector, but it wins an awful lot. I hope you guys enjoyed a little look at the Vector. I'm going to be doing weapon videos deluxe for the next wee while. We're going to be burning the midnight oil when it comes to doing the weapon vids. And I think it's going to be overall a really positive thing for the channel. But if you could support by just subscribing or, you know, liking the video or even sharing it with your mates. Look at these clips. Look at the hit point, not hit point distress, the ammo distress, always. One of the things I do run a Bison for is it holds 59s. You can put 53 nines in a Bison as your secondary weapon and then just use the Vector. And that works out pretty well. I'm Bushka. Look after yourself. Stay safe on the battlefield. And as always, bye for now.